Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another session of the OPP AMA, Ask Me Anything. Very special guest with us today that I can't wait to introduce. I want to remind everybody that we are in Aurelia, where our general headquarters is. This is a beautiful area in the heart of the Sunshine City, and our building, general headquarters, is situated on the traditional lands of the Chippewas of Rama. If you've never been to this area, please come for a visit. Rama is our sister community just down the road on the shores of Lake Couchiching. And this is really a beautiful area of the province that's steeped in deep history. We are celebrating the 50th anniversary of women in policing in uniform, and which is why we have these two very special guests. Now, longtime old friend of mine, Staff Sergeant Trina Goss, and my boss, Inspector McRoberts, are with us today. Welcome to you both. I can't wait to hear more about your journeys. I know people will be excited to talk with you. I'm going to jump right off the boat here. Inspector McRoberts, can you tell us how your journey started, how you ended up in the chair you're in now, like where you've worked, how many years you've been with the organization?
Absolutely. And firstly, let me say thank you for that lovely land acknowledgement, Vinny. That was wonderful. And also, you don't need to call me inspector. We're all friends here, and I want this to be a nice, low-key, fun conversation.
Thank you.
Um, I am a band member of Rama First Nation, and that's actually where I started my policing career with Rama Police Service. And for me, growing up uh, as an Indigenous kid, I and what my community had provided for me for supports throughout my childhood, and my youth, and my early years, I really felt it was important to give back to community. So I knew from a very early age I wanted to get into policing, but it was, like I said, it was really important to me to give back to my community and start policing there with Rama. So I spent 10 years in Rama from 2005 to 2015, and really built a strong foundation and a strong background in frontline services and general law enforcement. Worked alongside Aurelia OPP as well as the Casino Enforcement Unit, which is staffed by OPP members. So had a lot of connections with the OPP throughout that 10 years. And when I felt it was time to kind of spread my wings a little bit in some of the smaller services, as we all know, it is harder to find other avenues and other opportunities if if your interests move beyond frontline policing. And of course, the OPP was the obvious choice for me. I really had a lot of appreciation for all of the support, the training that I had here as a member of Rama Police. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me. When I was ready to make that jump, I joined the OPP in 2015 and went to what I consider the best detachment in the province, West Parry Sound, in Northeast region, and spent a couple years there. And it's funny because my grandmother's from Shawnaga First Nation. So the first number of years of my career, I was policing on my ancestors' traditional territory.
Oh, wow.
On both sides, which was pretty unique and pretty special to me. From then on, and a lot of the reason why I chose the OPP was the work that was being done here to support Indigenous communities. And I just thought it was so forward thinking from everything that I saw across the province and really across the country around the training that they provided their members, the relationships they were building with Indigenous police services and with Indigenous communities. And that was really something that mattered to me. And it was something that I could participate in from a work aspect too, which was pretty important. So I spent a lot of time in Indigenous policing in different capacities in our Indigenous Policing Bureau for a number of years, and did a lot of really exciting things in the Northwest region, really all over the province, supporting Pikanchicum, supporting different environmental related crises like wildfires and flooding, and supporting evacuees through those difficult times. So in all honesty, the opportunities that the organization has provided to me to expand and broaden my expertise and my experience in all of these different avenues, I know I never would have gotten that anywhere else. So super grateful for that. I think one of the highlights for me was when I was promoted to staff sergeant in leading the implementation of the calls for justice from the National Inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Really opened my eyes to organizational awareness of just understanding how we as this big organization across the province work together and work collaboratively on different initiatives. So, and also that was really unique in the aspect of, again, being able to support Indigenous community, but also being able to implement different initiatives, policy development that would support, equity at a greater level and support victims services and all of these really awesome things. And then I was fortunate enough to compete for uniform recruitment. And I'll tell you, this has been a little bit of a scary journey because I was coming into something I didn't know. But uniform recruitment, I've been here for a year and I've gotten to work with Vinny and the rest of the team behind the scenes. And it's been a fantastic year. It's been a fantastic journey in some of the things we've all been able to work on together and do together with hiring, meeting all these amazing people across the province. There's so many, it's such a positive role. People want to talk to you. They want to get that phone call. So it's been a lot of fun here in uniform recruitment, Vinny.
What an amazing journey. And you bring an aspect and perspective that a lot of people will have not heard of from your Indigenous background. And I think it's interesting that all three of us have worked in Northeast region at some point. Now, Staff Sergeant Trina Goss, same question to you. How long have you been with the organization, and tell us about the journey from when you started? I mean, I know where you started. I was there, and to where you are today.
Thanks, Vinny. Please just call me Trina. And yes, Northeast region has a warm spot in all of our hearts, I believe. I'm originally from the Sudbury area. So I'm a northern girl, born and raised. And, early on when you're trying to sort of figure out where your career is going, and who's going to best support the long-term goals that that I had anyway. I had some really big ideas about what I wanted to achieve in a career in policing. And that made the OPP the choice for me. And I also had the advantage of knowing an OPP officer before I was hired. And of course, they're biased and they're going to want to bring me in, and that's our role, I think, as officers, to really be encouraging anybody to join the OPP. But in my case, I had some really big ideas, and I've been in the OPP now for 24 years. And I started my career frontline policing in Kirkland Lake and Iroquois Falls. And then while I was in Iroquois Falls, the OPP supported me to take a leave of absence to do a military mission overseas in Afghanistan. So I deployed to Afghanistan in 05-06. And when I came back to my home position in Iroquois Falls. And very shortly after that, entered into a specialty unit, a covert operations unit for about 3 years. I gained a ton of incredible experience there. And then I went back to sort of the roots of every officer. I went back to frontline policing at a really detachment where I actually got to meet Inspector McRoberts while she was working as an officer with Rama Police. It's interesting how we've kind of come full circle here to be here together today. So I was on the road at a really detachment. I'm also married to another police officer, and we decided to go to Armstrong for a 2-year duration in Northwest region. And that was such an incredible experience. Again, working with the Indigenous communities up there and really getting that understanding of their connection to the land was really a wonderful experience for us. Took a promotion from Armstrong to provincial communications back here at Aurelia. While I was at Aurelia, one of the big ideas I had as a coming into the OPP is I really wanted to achieve a military deployment overseas as well as a police deployment overseas. And I knew that the OPP had supported people in the past, and I was very lucky. But luck is a manifestation of your own preparation. So I was very fortunate to be supported by my leadership team while I was at a communications center, and I deployed for a year to Ukraine. Another amazing experience. And when I came back again to my home position. There's no lost time. Everything sort of stayed. My whole career carried on, right? It was really a rewarding experience. Can't speak highly enough. I came back to the communications center again, followed my heart back to frontline operations at Nottawasaga Detachment. And while I was there, it was suggested that I could do another year-long mission in Iraq, which I accepted, and my husband graciously also supported. So I did that. I went on my third overseas deployment, again, supported by the OPP. You really couldn't ask for more from an employer for such a diverse career that I've had. When I came back from Iraq, I was then provided with a number of developmental opportunities. I spent some time as a professional standards investigator. I spent some time as a trainer at our academy, training new recruits coming in. I have been a field coach for new recruits. I've coached 5 recruits over the years. And I also received some developmental opportunities where they give you a chance to act at the next higher rank. So I received some developmental opportunities, and I'm proud to say that I just very recently achieved the full-time rank of staff sergeant. Again, supported and mentored by some really strong women leaders in this organization. So yeah, I can't really stress enough how, if you've got big ideas and you're looking for that agency, that police service that's going to support you and your big ideas, I can tell you, based on my own experience, the OPP is the place to do that.
That's an amazing, both of you have such amazing stories, and this is perfect for celebrating women in policing because, I mean, I can't keep up to the chat. So I'm just going to say right now, we have people trying to answer questions in the chat. I want to focus on the questions that we have for Trina and for Brooke, because this is all about women in policing, and you have such incredible stories that I want to pick at those and talk about that. So if we can get to the chat questions, we will. I want to remind everybody that a lot of the answers you're looking for, you can find at opp.ca. And we also have our people in the background that are going to be trying to answer them. My question, this one will be for you, Brooke. At the recent OPP bound for women in policing, there was a lot of talk about the perspective that women bring to policing. And I was wondering if you could share with us the attributes and how it makes us a better organization to have women in uniform.
Oh my goodness, that's something I can go on and on about for days. I feel like you know that though already, Vinny.
I'm a strong supporter.
Yeah, that's it's so important, those unique perspectives and the different experiences that we bring into this organization, that diversity of thought. It really can lead to more innovation and more effective solutions to some complex problems that we see kind of evolving just naturally over time, right? So I think for me, like, our goal here is to support that next generation of women in their journey, because I really, really think there's so much value. And at that women's OPP event, I was really blown away by the expertise that was sitting in the room. And I know maybe that's a myth that we can kind of demystify a little bit there, or something around expertise and skill sets that you bring into this organization have so much value no matter what area. And at that women's event that we had in June specifically, I was really surprised to see over half of the women in that room have a mental health background, which, let's be honest, like the 3 of us, that was something that we all started having to learn about on the fly and through experience on the road, right? So I really, in that room particularly, I really encourage them to look at what you bring to the table and look at the, some of the social issues that we're dealing with as police and how much training and education you already bring to the table, whereas we did not have that coming in the door, right? So I think there's sometimes this thought that you have to have a policing background or a law enforcement education background, which, don't get me wrong, that has a lot of value, but there's also so much experience, and we are kind of jacks of all trades, and no matter what your background, I think that you bring value with any skill set into this organization. And I do find sometimes women and how they manage situations and manage people, they do seem to have that elevated ability to de-escalate situations sometimes quite naturally, and just in how we approach things. So I think it's so important to have that perspective at the table.
Absolutely. I love that we're forward thinking, because when you look back, policing used to be a male dominated world. Nursing was female dominated. Doctors were more, and now we've realized, hey, some of the best doctors in the world are women. Some of the best police officers I know are women. Some of the best nurses I know are men, right? We've gone over those gender lines, and it really makes us a better organization. And I tell you, for one, I'm proud not just to be able to chat with the two of you, but to have worked with you. And I know the value that women bring to this organization. I think it's amazing that it makes us a better organization. It's a place to be. If you're going to join a police agency, and I know Trina said we're biased, yeah, we are, because we're the best. And I'm not afraid to say that. Now, Trina, I want to come back to a point you said earlier, how you said you were lucky to have these opportunities, but then you said luck is a manifestation of your efforts. And I love the way you put that, because when I look at your diversified career, the things you've accomplished and the opportunities and the adventures, how did you prepare how did you make that happen? Because that doesn't just get handed to you. There had to be a plan or something.
For sure. Thanks, Vinny. It's a great question. I set sort of those big idea goals right at the beginning of my career. I knew I really wanted to deploy overseas at least once with the military and once with policing. But I also did a lot of research up front of sort of what are the requirements of those goals, and sort of managing expectations around that. So the minimum requirement for service to deploy as a police officer is minimum 7 years as a police officer. Once you reach that minimum, then there's a pretty stringent selection protocol. And in my case, I really focused on training. There is a demand internationally for Canadian police trainers. And I'll toot our horn a little bit there. Like, we are by far the best trained in the world. And I can tell you that from personal experience. But having said that, so I started lining up my career choices as I was moving through my career to make myself more, marketable, more appealing to the agencies like United Nations, who would be making those selections of the people that they wanted on their teams. And in the OPP, we had a pre-selection process, and you would sit in a pool. And I knew that it was incredibly competitive, and I actually sat in that pool for 10 years. Wow. So minimum 7 years of policing experience, and I knew going in that, I was competing with a lot of senior, well-trained, coveted individuals, that it was going to take some time. And in the meantime, as you heard from my career, like, okay, I'll field coach new officers. I'll learn, I'll go out and seek out developmental opportunities in leadership roles, seek out development opportunities as, an instructor, or just constant professional development.
Yeah, I think the key,
I'm really doing the job. Yeah.
One of the keys, what you're saying, not just having goals, but continue to develop yourself. While you're waiting to reach that goal, don't just sit idle, develop yourself. And we are great at doing that. I echo your thoughts about being the best trained. I give praise to our academy all the time. They are recognized on the world stage. The OPP training is second to none. And I'm proud that we're that kind of organization. Those opportunities to develop are there. So if you have goals, that's great advice for candidates. Set a goal, but as you're working towards it, don't just sit idle. Continue to develop. That's excellent advice that you're echoing a lot of the stuff that I say at info sessions. Got to have a plan, and you got to develop while you're working on that plan. I'm going to take the ball back to you, Brooke. And this is a bit more personal question. We mentioned how policing was male dominated. So, as a woman applying into a male dominated world and from being from a diversified background, being indigenous, have you faced any challenges or barriers when you were trying to get into policing or as you've progressed in your career? And I realize it's a bit of a personal question, whatever you're comfortable to share. I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Vinny, and I love everything you and Trina are saying. Just to follow that up, I think one thing I reflect on as the three of us are talking here is that yes, opportunities exist in this organization, and sometimes the only barrier to those is yourself, right? Are you willing to put in the time, the effort? You can achieve whatever you want to do. You've got to be willing to put in the work to get it, right? So I do love that. And kind of back to the barriers. Yeah, there's definitely been, I think there's over the course of my life, there's different aspects in different spaces where there's a stigma attached to how I look and assumptions that are sometimes made about what my abilities may or may not be. But I've been really fortunate in the aspect of I never say no to any opportunity. If I'm always the first one to jump in and give things a shot, even if I'm terrified, I will try it. So I think even despite some of those barriers and those challenges, or sometimes being put into a certain stereotype, I've found ways to use that to my advantage just with that work ethic. So, I think one simple example in my service. There for a while I was the only female. There was only two females there for most of my career. So you tend to, you deal with the victims, you deal with the children, which I actually liked that work. So it kind of worked to my advantage anyways. But what ultimately came out of what some people might see as a challenge or a barrier was the opportunities that I got to shine in those types of investigations and the courses that I got out of really putting all that hard work into every opportunity and every situation I was put in, right? So ultimately, by the time I left Rama Police, I was fully trained up in criminal investigations that I know sometimes in the bigger organizations, it can take 20 years to get that training, right? So when I kind of saw that success early on, that if I just jump in and give it my best shot, I could kind of keep powering through anything. And that just becomes something I think we can all say, when you keep working hard, it is noticed by people and those opportunities keep increasing, right? So for me, it's that's where my success has been. It's just that determination to, okay, maybe you think this is my abilities, but I'll keep working to prove everybody what I'm capable of.
And that's a great example, because you're right. You gave me this opportunity. Maybe it's the one you think is best, not the one I really wanted, but you know what? I'm going to take that opportunity and I'm going to run with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you that, never turn down a course, never turn down any training. Take the opportunities that are given to you, run with them. And, the old saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I say, when life gives you lemon, make lemon meringue pie. Life will be like, what? All right, I digress. I love that. I love that answer. Thank you, Brooke, for sharing that. And I know it's a little bit personal. So I'm going to jump back to you, Trina. With what you mentioned about being deployed, 3 deployments overseas. I mean, there's stress that comes with being a police officer, with training and that. But we're talking about a different level here. You're going to another country, representing the organization. What jumps out to mind for me is resilience. Can you tell us, how do you remain resilient? What was your secret? What was your plan? Because obviously you have to be a resilient person. And I've known you for years. You've always been a happy person. How do you do it? What was your secret?
Well, thanks, Vinny. That's kind of a loaded question, actually a little bit personal too, because resilience, to Brooke's point, like I've spent a lot of my career as the only woman on various teams or on the platoon, or the shift supervisor who's one of two out of 10, that sort of thing. It becomes it becomes sort of normalized, that existing in that space. But from a resilience point of view, something really simple: sleep is directly proportionate to your ability to cope. If you are not well rested, your ability, right? Because not only do you have to look after yourself, often as police officers, we are now the carer, right, of whatever sort of situation is being presented to us. And there's a lot of giving yourself over to whatever you're encountering on, calls for service, on these missions overseas. You give a lot of yourself. So how do you sort of recharge that battery? Most critical thing I would offer is appropriate rest. And if you're not getting that appropriate rest, if you're not recharging those batteries, you're going to have, some issues with your resilience. Further to that, fitness, right? Maintaining that personal physical fitness, using it as an outlet, right? Policing is a stressful job. Being on these missions overseas, it's stressful. You're away from your family, from your support network, right? That you build up, because here, policing in your home community or, wherever you are, you really want that strong familial and friend base. Those are the people that are gonna sort of hug you at the end of a tough day, tuck you in at night. You need to maintain those relationships, right? Those familial relationships. So when you're away, how do you deal with that? And technology obviously helps. Here we are even right now on this online forum, and we get to see each other. But I really I don't want to grossly oversimplify it, but adequate rest, appropriate exercise. We have a lot of healthy workplace, mental health supports built in at the OPP, and we're really fortunate for that. But correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we're one of the only police agencies with unlimited mental health supports available.
I don't know if we're the only one, but I know that definitely we do have that. And
yeah.
I like that what you're saying is a perfect segue into where I wanted to go next, talking about fitness, health, and sleep. I'm going to use 3 great points. So the 3 things I picked out of what you said there: rest, fitness, and stress management somehow, whether it's interacting with family, with support networks. Which brings me to when people apply, because I've got a question for you, Brooke. It's about somebody who's struggling to get to level 7 on a shuttle run. And we get that a lot. How do I get better? And I just want to say about the piece that Trina said, we have fitness logs on the website that ask those specific questions. How many hours of sleep are you getting? What are you doing for stress management? And we often see applications that come in, people don't fill out those parts. Those parts say a lot about you. We want to know that you're getting proper rest and that you have stress management strategies, whatever that is, whether it's playing piano, playing video games, going for a walk, working out. So please fill out your fitness logs when you submit your application, and don't leave that information out. Thanks for the great advice, Trina. And throw it back to you, Brooke, about level 7 on a shuttle run. A lot of people, it's a big talk, we talk about that, are struggling. Anything, any suggestions you can give or advice to offer up?
Yeah, first, Vinny, I can't stress enough how important, we really have, there's always conversations, and I see there's questions in the chat about shuttle runs as well. The importance of physical fitness, but I think, we also, I think, really need to impress upon everybody on the call with us the importance of mental fitness too, right? As Trina and Vinny have both spoken about, this is a stressful job. And the physical fitness, the same way we take care of our bodies, we got to take care of our mental wellness as well, right? Those are 2 integral parts to that. So I love that you both brought that up and the importance of that, because I think we've all prioritized that mental fitness over the course of our careers too. As far as the shuttle runs go, Vinny, I think I'm really excited about the things we've been able to do this year, particularly around offering those shuttle runs in person, just kind of throughout the province. And I know I think there's one in Barrie this evening. So I really encourage members who are interested, or not members, people who are interested in becoming members, to keep an eye out for those shuttle run opportunities, because even if you aren't hitting level 7 right now, even being able to gauge where are you at, how are you doing, there's lots of resources on our website around how to prepare for that shuttle run and how to meet the standards for what we're looking for. So definitely access the opp.ca/careers website. Look up all the information. It's all there for you to build yourself a training guideline to get to that level 7. But definitely keep an eye out on our social streams on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn for any upcoming shuttle runs that are happening throughout the province.
Thanks for the advice. And yes, that's exactly what you need to do. And I want to remind people that if you do go participate in one of those shuttle runs, I know Sergeant Carrie Schmidt is traveling the province, setting them up. If you get a certificate, you're successful. That certificate is good for 30 days. As long as you apply within 30 days of receiving that certificate, you'll be able to bypass having to send a shuttle run video. We can use the results of your certificate. And like Brooke said, if you've never tried it, register for one. Because until you try it, you'll never know where you're at. You could be pleasantly surprised and find out, hey, I reached 7, no problem. But I've seen some people that were like, oh yeah, I'm sure I've been playing hockey my whole life. I got this, no problem. They get to level 5 and they're like, man, this is a little harder than I thought. So get out there and try it. It's very different. It's not a comfortable run. Let's just put it that way. Not for me anyways. But to go on the heels of that conversation, Trina, I see that you're wearing your fitness pin. I'm a very big advocate of the fitness program. Tell us about the fitness pin. Is this something you get every year? What motivates you to get it?
Yeah, I really do attempt to get it every year. I think I've been on for 24 years. I think I'm at the 20-year mark now.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I think if I want to be perceived as a leader in this organization, we have to lead by example. And one of the ways of leading by example is to demonstrate a commitment to that fitness pin and what it represents. What it represents is that, when we're looking at joining the OPP and what are the recruiters looking for? They're looking for us to already have sort of established healthy life routines. And this is a way to ensure that we carry on those healthy routines. It's an incentive, a little bit of an incentive. We do actually get a little bit of time off if we successfully achieve
4 hours.
4 hours. That
in a gym bag.
Can come in handy. When things are going on, you need that extra 4 hours off your shift. So I don't do it for the incentive. I do it because I think it's important, and I know that especially if I have any further aspirations from my recent promotion, to be that example. If there's young women coming through, to demonstrate that even though I'll admit it, I'm going to be 50 next year, even at that ripe old age.
Not old. We're not old.
Okay. But even, just carrying on sort of throughout your life, if you maintain those healthy habits, sort of lead by example, demonstrate the importance of fitness from the beginning to the end of your career. And it will only serve you to maintain your health right throughout. It helps with that resilience piece,
Yes, and that
maintain that fitness.
That's very good rationale way of thinking. I say to everybody, it's personal commitment, because being a police officer will not make you fit. We sit around a lot. We sit at a desk. We sit at a car. We work during the night. So, it has to become part of your daily habit, not just to train, but to eat right. I used to make my lunch and bring it on the road with me, because if not, you're going to end up eating what's open at 2 a.m. and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Inspector, did you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to follow that up. The virtual info sessions that I go on, Vinny, and I think this is an important thing for candidates interested in applying and understanding those 10 areas of assessment. That's not just a random thing we want our applicants to jump through hoops for. Those 10 areas of assessment, those are things that we continue to do throughout the course of our career. And even at this rank of inspector, I am still, what am I doing and giving back to my community? What kind of volunteer work? My volunteer work might look a little different, at this stage of my career, but they are so important, and they really are the ingredients to having a successful career within this organization. So, you will never stop building on those 10 areas of assessment throughout your journey with us.
And out of those 10 areas, fitness is the one that would automatically cut you out. If you can't reach level 7 on the shuttle run, don't give up on your dreams of being a police officer. Keep training. Just don't apply right away, because level 7 is the minimum. Don't see that as the end result. See that as your starting line, and you're working to go and to get beyond that. I'm going to take a little twist or turn in our conversation. Now, I know that Trina doesn't have any children, and I'm not responsible enough to have children. So this will be a question for you, Brooke, because I know you're a mom. And this was from one of the women that attended, I don't know if it was the info session or at OPP Bound, but seriously considering becoming a police officer, but I'm worried about how the job will affect my family life. Should I wait to have kids? If I do, should I wait until they're older? Is this manageable? I think the person best qualified to answer that would be you.
I love your little segue into that. Not responsible enough to have children. That's funny. I think I had a 2.5-year-old when I got hired and went off to training. And the job is challenging. There is some sacrifice involved, but at the same time, I had my second child when I was a few years on the job, and the supports the relationships you develop with your platoons and within your detachments. I know particularly for some of our northern, they start to become like family to each other and helping each other out. For me, this was, it really is a family commitment. And that's why, it is important to us to, ensure that our members and their families all feel supported, because for me, I relied heavily on the support of my parents to help with my kids, especially when they were younger. But that also, there was some balancing to that, because there's perks too when you're on platoon, and the things that you have time to do, and the things that you can help out with, and not having a typical Monday to Friday job. I got to go on a lot of school trips, so that, there's a balance to, yes, I miss some birthdays, but somebody shared with me online recently that it's the day, but it's not the date. So, we would celebrate those special events, but maybe it would be on, the day after or the day before. And sometimes Christmas is the same thing. So, I really want to be clear that, especially for young families out there, this is a conversation as a family to have discussion on, because it really is a family commitment to the career. But on the other side of the coin, it really becomes an amazing bigger family to also be a part of as well, in the supports and what we how the organization does take care of all of us as well.
So definitely manageable, and it echoes on what Trina was saying earlier about having your support network. So if you are a young family or you're planning, you want to make sure that you have those supports in place. And you've heard it right from Brooke. It is doable. And actually, there's hundreds, maybe, I don't know, maybe closer to 1,000 families or officers that I know with young kids. It's definitely doable. I'm probably one of the anomalies as the one that doesn't have any children. So I'm going to go back to you, Trina. Now, you mentioned earlier about as a leader, you want to demonstrate through your own actions. When we're talking about fitness, you want to hold yourself to that same accountability. I want to ask you, again, it's a bit of a personal question, but what's it like being in a leadership role in the deputy commissioner's office? I know that the commissioner's command team, where all the big bosses are, that's where you work. Now, I know there's some secret squirrel stuff you can't tell us about, but what's it like being there? What's it like being in a role up there?
Well, thanks, Vinny. That's it's new to me. I've been up here just shy of a year, and it's been so far a very incredible experience and a wonderful learning experience. And I have the advantage right now, I would say, of being mentored by a woman deputy commissioner. We have 2 woman deputy commissioners out of 5 in the organization. And yeah, they are shining examples of what women can achieve in this organization right now. I know we're going to get to talk a little bit about it at the end of the month for the 50th anniversary of Women in Uniform with Commissioner Boniface, who's now a senator, which is pretty exciting. But we haven't had a woman commissioner since Commissioner Boniface. But I have high hopes now that we have 2 women deputy commissioners. But yeah, so I am recognizing that I am now in a really wonderful position to be mentored by these women in this, the second highest spot in the OPP. Like, that's pretty awesome achievement for them. And I'm just learning. I just take it all in every day. I learn something new, file it away, and put it in my toolbox. And luckily, sometimes in leadership roles, when we're being mentored, we learn, or not mentored, but we watch other leaders and we realize that that's not something we want to manifest or sort of emulate. But I'm very fortunate in my role right now that what I'm seeing, I want to emulate that. I want to learn from it and
kind of relate, because I remember when my wife Carrie was a sergeant in the comm center, and Deputy Karen Myers was the inspector there. And I remember specifically Carrie telling me, I've got this amazing inspector, and she became a mentor to Carrie. So I'm not surprised that you feel the same way and have that mentorship. It's great how that support is there. So I think it's kind of neat that you're able to sit in for the deputy, because I know they get busy with their schedule. So I say they brought in a ringer, so that's pretty good. I'm glad that you're able to join us.
Well, I think the deputy's the ringer.
Brooke, I'm going to go back. Last night, I did an information session at GHQ. One of the questions, or 2 of the questions at the end, people were asking about, how do you deal with the danger? Does that worry you? And we had a question from the audience that was, as a parent, so that's why I'm going to put it to you. As a parent, do you have the conversation with your kids about your job and some of the dangers about it in a way that won't make them worry about you? Or how do you approach that when you're a parent on the job?
I love that question, actually. It's funny. Yeah, there was a lot of conversations around, because they would see me in uniform, and we lived in such a small community, so they would see me at their school and in different events, right? And yeah, there was a lot of conversations. And actually, I used to worry how, if my kids would actually feel a little resentful towards how sometimes the career would take mom away from their time with me. And for one, they, from a very early age, really understood the importance of taking care of other people. And that was kind of always how we prefaced that, somebody else's family member needs me, or, someone, a little boy or a little girl like you needs support. And I want to be the one to help them. And so when they had things in context that was, easily understood for them, and it came from a place of caring for people and making sure other families were safe, they really started to kind of put that in context, and it carried on throughout their lives, because, sometimes it would get to the point where I'd be like, hello, do you miss me? Like, because because I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go and this investigation is keeping me away for so long. And it would be like, go do what you need to do, Mom. Like, we're super proud of you. And so that fear that I always had of them, resenting it or anything, actually, my one child is actually very interested, although he's not quite at that age yet, but really interested in following in those footsteps, and he sees so much value in the importance of what we do in keeping communities safe and taking care of others, right? So proud to see where he's kind of come in his own journey in prioritizing that protection and that peacekeeping aspect.
That is neat. And you know what? I've met, I think it was is it your oldest that I've met at a few smudging ceremonies, and it's kind of neat how, as a young man now, kind of involved still around Mom's career. And as a non-parent, I always find it interesting and neat to see the interaction as the kids get older. And I can't believe how time is flying. We could probably go on for hours. There's tons of shout outs that came out in the police chat or in the chat on the side. And a lot of the questions are being answered on the side. Like I said, I want to remind everyone that opp.ca is your number one stop to get all the information that you need. Before we close, we're going to wrap up. I want to give you each a final thought. So starting with you, Trina, final thought, advice, or words of wisdom for women that are watching, thinking of applying and becoming an OPP officer.
I can't stress enough the amazing opportunities that the OPP has afforded me in my career. I was growing up in rural Northern Ontario, not a lot of exposure to policing. I think my mom would have been happy if I would have lived at home my entire life and been a piano teacher. But it's okay to dream big. And I can tell you from my own experience, I had some big ideas, and the OPP has supported me every step of the way. The opportunities in our organization are second to none, and I can't stress enough how rewarding it has been for me, and I really hope anybody out there watching is motivated to also join.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your career story with us. I'm sure you've inspired tons of people that are watching, and these AMAs get watched over and over after the fact for the people that can't join live. So I know that people will be excited to hear about it. Now, Inspector Brooke McRoberts, I want to give you a final word today. I want to remind everybody, opp.ca, and follow us on social media. Our social media and the website announce when upcoming events are. Make sure you stay tuned to that, see what's happening. We have the Toronto Women's Show coming November 8th to November 10th. The shuttle runs that Brooke mentioned, they'll all be advertised on there. So stay plugged in with us. That's the best way to know what's happening. And just before we wrap up, Brooke, I'm going to give you the final word.
Thank you. So there's like three things I want to say, actually, Vinny. So this might be a little long. I'll tell you that right now. Firstly, the Toronto Women's Show. It's my favorite event. I'm going along with Constable Lisa, or Acting Sergeant Lisa Lawrence, and Staff Sergeant Mary Lou Schwint will also be there. Hope we see some of you there. For me, I love what Trina's saying around dream big, because I'll tell you, being a young Anishinaabe girl, never really saw anybody who looked like me. Never imagined that I would be wearing this white shirt in Inspector and Uniform Recruitment. Dream big. Absolutely, you can do whatever you put your mind to. I never saw myself in this chair. I'll tell you that much. And finally, I want to say thank you to Trina for stepping in and joining us and sharing. I've known Trina and her husband for a number of years, and they're both exceptional human beings and wonderful, wonderful OPP members. So it was our privilege to have you join us on our AMA today. And I also want to take a moment here for people who may not be aware. Sergeant Hick is on his last journey out of the organization. I don't know what I'm going to do without him, but I can't tell you all enough how much I have relied on his expertise and his skills and his experience and what he brings to this unit. It's irreplaceable, and we are so grateful for everything he's done. And I am personally grateful, for what a wonderful ally you are to supporting women in this organization, I've seen what Carrie's done in her career, and even how you host these sessions. You are such just a gentleman, and I'm really grateful for the year I've gotten to work this closely with you. And I think we have a special reel here for you today, Vinny. Sarah?
Oh,
There's a number of things that come to mind when we think of you. Some of them are funny, some are serious, but all of them remind us of you. And while the admin team are a whole bunch of chickens, or I would say roosters, we did a canvas of all things Vinny, and we've summarized it for you today. So funny Vinnyisms. Say no to drugs. Roses are red, violets are blue. I love pickles. Do you swim? Rooster sounds all times of the day. You're known for your nicknames. Double Aaron, B-Rud, Mason. Everyone seems to have a nickname. I myself always like to refer to you as a Hoover. You always said you were like a vacuum cleaner salesman. You might be the only person who takes an hour to say hello. Some serious Vinnyisms. So many people have noted on their applications how you personally have inspired them to apply. You've built remarkable relationships with our colleges and promoted FLS and the OPS as a whole. Our admin team respect that you have always taken the time to speak to each and every one of them, make them feel welcome when they're new, touch base, and show an interest in what they do both on and off duty, which in turn makes them feel respected. Finally, when you say Vinny, the common words to describe you were kind, funny, inspirational, hilarious, respectful, enthusiastic, and energized. We all hope that you have the most wonderful retirement. We will miss you. Our candidates will miss you, but we wish you nothing but the best for a long and healthy retirement.
Thank you, Vinny, for all your hard work, dedication, team support, and all-around true friendship. You'll be missed, but never forgotten. You will always be a member of our marketing team.
Congratulations, Vinny.
Good luck.
oh, wow. It's hard to catch me off guard, and you managed to pull that off. I'm blessed to have worked with all of you. I'm not running out the door. I'm still not counting the days. Thank you so much for that, Inspector. Appreciate it. For all
I
of you
can't believe we were able to keep this a secret from you this whole time. I'm so proud of us.
I'll be doing some investigating after. For everyone watching, opp.ca, please come and join us at an event coming up. Make sure you sign up for something. And until we speak again, stay safe out there. Be kind to one another. Thanks for joining.